Hey y'all, I know I haven't uploaded in a while. It's just been a lot of personal stuff going on. Not much I could really do about it. I am gonna try to be making more videos. I am actually wondering if you want to add, give your feedback. Do you want content other than Deepwoken? Because if you saw the title, you know that Deepwoken is not in the greatest state right now. So, the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to why Deepwoken will never ever go back to its quote glory days is the fact that the community for Deepwoken has always been known to be not as toxic as Rogue Lineage, where everyone's killing you the first chance they get, but it's always been a community very ingrained with the fact that everyone seems to kind of hate each other, hate the devs, hate anything they can, because, it's the only thing that people like doing, hating on things. But going past that part where it's the player's side of the problem, I want to talk about the developer side of the problem, and partially the content creator side of the problem. When it comes to community in Deepwoken, we've always had certain events that happened almost every year that just kind of brought the community and the developers and the content creators all on kind of this similar level, on this kind of similar plane, I guess. And what we've lost is all of that. We had Lightborn tournaments to have the, community watch content creators duel it out to get a cool custom spec. We've had the art contests, my favorite thing ever, where artists would draw their weapons with such cool ideas, and then we'd get them in the game. I mean, it's all gone. We don't do Lightborn tournaments anymore. We don't. I mean, Lightborn's now not even a dev spec race you can get in Valve Iron. I don't know how that affects the people who have Lightborn because they don't even play anymore. Valakis doesn't play, Supa doesn't play, Rom's banned. It's kind of gone. And the worst part is that the art competitions, I don't see how they could ever recover from what they did with that. Because in the last art competition, not only did I think we can all collectively agree they voted on the idea that a lot of people seem to think was very basic. That's fine. The art was very good. The person who made it had a clear, very good idea of what they wanted done, and it seemed very interesting. And I was fine the fact that it won. My personal pick was the Bandalore, if anyone remembers that. It was the cool Iron Sing yo-yo weapon. I'm not a big fan of Iron Sing, but it was still a cool idea. The problem is that was what feels like almost 3 years ago now. And the weapon, we have not heard anything about it. It's not been talked about, it's not been added, there's been no leaks for it, there's been nothing. It was a medium weapon charisma banner as a support weapon, which frankly I didn't think we needed, but it just hasn't even been talked about. No one's talked about the fact that the art competitions are just gone. As someone who does art on their own time, it definitely feels like that was a large sting for, us in the community as artists. But also, it just kind of felt like it killed off so much of what the community loved, because whenever art competitions came around, people who weren't even actively playing that much, would get on to just play the game maybe a little more, and then look at the weapons that people had drawn and the ideas and the concepts, and we get to see all this super cool art. And we just don't have that anymore. It's gone. I mean, there's nothing to it. Deepwoken went from a game that had so many of these community events, so many of this, dev on audience, on content creator on audience, all this different types of interaction, to just this stale, delayed updates, pumping out random things, lack of content, barely any transparency. And whenever we do get transparency, it's been after, 1,000 years. I mean, we were told Iron Vow was not going to be delayed, and it got delayed. Then they said we will not delay it again, then it got delayed. I mean, and then when they said from here on out there will be no more delays, it still took 8 hours after they put out the patch logs. I mean, sufficient to say that it's very hard for Deepwoken to come back from this, and I think even if they were to, because they've just killed off all of their community interaction, they've had so little transparency when it comes to certain things, And the fact that they've just really struggled to push out content and keep the game not buggy at the same time, it's just all dead, you know? I mean, maybe if the devs decide to bring back some community events and they decide to, start making sure their updates don't come out, causing boats to spawn in backwards, upside down, people get the ability to fly, climb infinitely, you can wipe people by doing random things, then maybe we'll get back to a point where Deepwoken can be considered, you know, a top tier game that will be top tier for a while, because right now it just feels like it's such a good game for someone who's new for it. But once you've reached the point where you've progged to power 20, you've played a bunch of Chime, you've killed all the bosses at least even once, it just kind of feels stale. And it just feels like you're gonna move on to the next game, you know? The next thing I want to talk about when it comes to why Deepwoken won't reach its glory days again is the fact that we have to go through periods like we are now where the Deepwoken updates aren't anything content related. There's nothing that actually adds new stuff into the game because the game has just been so buggy and unbalanced that we've needed to spend months, weeks, so much time just fixing it. And half the time, it doesn't even work. The last time we had this happen, we had to fix the movement systems, we had to fix balancing, we had to fix so many bugs. And it ended up making not only the movement jank, a bunch of different weapons bugged out. A bunch of different monsters had weird stuff going on with them. It just felt so unfathomably horrible to have to play the game in such a state, and then to have that state be considered what the devs were fixing. Like, the devs had, quote, fixed the problems, and it had felt worse. I don't know if there's any way to explain this to anyone who never played when that was going on, but you have to understand that you could not play the game. The game was not in a playable state. And honestly, I don't know if the game will ever be in a playable state again where it's fun. Because anytime the game gets into a somewhat playable state, the first thing the devs decide to do is release an update scoured with bugs, scoured with imbalanced stuff. It all really ties back, in my opinion, to the release of the Pyre Keeper. There was a few issues before that, but ever since Pyre Keeper released, and we saw the devs added something so broken that you could basically 3-shot max powers with insane resistances, I think that's when we really saw that there was no, feedback from the testers given that the devs actually took in seriously. Or that the devs even acknowledged. Or that they had stopped giving testers stuff to test because they just wanted to add things for the sake of adding things. I know Deepwoken has always stood around the fact that it's a game we made for community, but it's a game we've kind of made for ourselves as well. And so if we add something and everyone hates it, but we really feel like we wanted to add it, then we might still just add it anyways. And that's fine. But to a certain extent, you can't just add a dev spec into the game and then just assume that people will keep playing it. And that's really the origin of all of it. We had Pyre Keeper added, the weapon was imbalanced, we started seeing bugs after bugs, we started seeing rare drops after rare drops that made the game imbalanced. And then I think it really died off at Mantle. Because the Mantle of Enmity is an item that just makes your build better. There is no reason not to run the item. And it is untradeable, it is undroppable, it is an RNG, enmity piece. That's just, if you play against it, it's so unfathomably broken to play against. And if you don't have it, you're just at a straight up disadvantage. I really think that there should be something that the devs do to show that they are actively looking at not only the bug issues and the very clear imbalancing issues, but to show that they're actually looking at what the community is saying and really show that they are going through and finding out what the community cares about. Now, I said earlier the community just hates on everything, and that is so true, and I totally understand not looking at all the hate. But just looking for the sake of understanding what the people who aren't just hating, the people who are giving genuine feedback of, hey, this seems kind of imbalanced, but here might be an idea to fix this. Looking at all the suggestions that they put into their own suggestions channel, to putting out into the community, for them to look back on that and show that they are actually looking at it and they're planning on doing stuff to fix the problems. Overall, there isn't really much more to say on it. It's just very clear to me that Deepwoken has reached a point where it's kind of sinking as a ship. We don't have community events. We don't really have much transparency from the devs. With Ragusa back and kind of showing out more, I feel like we might be getting to a point where it's getting better, but right now it just feels really, really just kind of dead. I really hope that this game comes back to the point we all liked it at, for the people who've been playing it since verse 1. And for the people who are getting into the game and getting it new, I really hope you enjoy the game as it is, and I hope you get to the point where, you know, the game is enjoyable even if there is no new content. But for a lot of people, I think the majority of the Deepwoken player base, the game has just kind of died. And I really hope we can come back from that, because I really do love Deepwoken. At its core, it's such a good game. It has so much going for it, and I've put so much out. I mean, I've probably put thousands of hours into this game. And to just see that, you know, become something that I can't enjoy anymore is not exactly fun. Anyways, I think that'll be all. If you guys have anything you want to talk about in the comments, I'll be reading them. Again, so sorry that it's been so long since I've uploaded a video. It's just a lot of personal stuff. And if you want a fun fact, while I was recording this, actually, my ear started bleeding for some reason. But, you know, random fun fact. But that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Try to upload more often. Have a good one.